Over the last 7 days, Matt has had A.J. Haulcy and Bernard Gooden on his show. And both guys have told a very similar story. A.J. Haulcy went to a high school that is very well known in Texas. Devon Achane played with him in high school. You don't think there were some scouts and some college football coaches on hand at practice and at some games to watch Devon Achane play? He played in 2 state championship games in Texas. And he thought, based on his production, that would be a guy that college coaches would absolutely want on their team. And he kept waiting for the big offer, and he told the story to Matt about how he was checking his phone after games. He would wake up and try to see if anybody had called, and nobody did. And finally, New Mexico kept blowing him up. He's like, all right, I'll go play for New Mexico. And that's what he did, and he balled out. And after a couple years at New Mexico, boom, goes over to Houston. That's a step up. Balls out at Houston. And then finally, for AJ, Miami and LSU and Ole Miss are on line one. And that dream that he had since he was 16, 17 years old came to fruition. It's just now that he's 21, 22. And now he's got an opportunity to go play in the SEC and shine bright and potentially find his way into the professional ranks. And you got Bernard Gooden, who told a similar story. Grew up in Alabama. No real Power 5 offers. The only Power 5 team that picked the phone and called him was Wake Forest. So he went to Wake Forest. Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And he didn't play a lot. And he got homesick. So he left. And he went to South Florida. And didn't really play his first year at South Florida. So you're thinking, maybe this dream's dead. I've been thinking I could be a P5 player. Only one school offers. I go there. They don't play me. I come to South Florida. I'm not playing. And then, in his 4th year, he blossoms and becomes a really productive player. 10 tackles for loss this past year for South Florida. And he was pretty content to stay at South Florida, which is why the December transfer portal window came and went, and he didn't go anywhere. He just stayed at South Florida. And his mom said, this is your last chance. Just take a look. So he took a look around. And on the phone was LSU. And when that call came and he got to meet with Kyle Williams, felt like they were similar in the fact that they were 6'1" guys that weren't 6'5" and 360, but wanted to be great. And he felt like he could be a similar type player that Kyle Williams was. Now, that's an ambitious deal to play 13 years in the NFL and make 6 Pro Bowls. But in terms of their frame, it's not all that different. And he gets now a chance to go to LSU and play in the SEC and do all those things that I talked about with A.J. Haulcy. And every time you want to sit there and say, man, the transfer portal is killing college athletics. It's terrible what we're teaching these kids. I want to pause because I've been one of those that said, man, this makes life tough on college coaches. When your entire team can pick up and leave with no consequence, that's a hard thing for college coaches. I use the example a lot of Will Davis, the guy I talked to a couple of years ago. He was an assistant at LSU, and he's been the head coach at Lamar, done a phenomenal job at Lamar. They got another great team this year. But he lost his Friday night starter 3 years in a row to the Big 12. That is difficult to continue to put a good product on the field when the guys that you recruit, develop, and perform up and go really quickly with no punishment. But in the same breath, I personally catch myself and I go, a system that allows Paul Skenes to do what he's done is pretty special. And I don't know if he would have done it at Air Force. Steven Strasburg did it at San Diego State, so I'm not saying that small school players can't do great things, but certainly LSU gave him more resources and a bigger platform to do what he did. Who am I to say that what Jayden Daniels did was bad for the sport? Who am I to tell you that if A.J. Haulcy, who nobody would call in Houston as a high school player except New Mexico, through merit earns a spot at Houston, and then through merit earns a spot at LSU, and then potentially through merit could be an NFL player, that's a broken system? Because a guy balls out, performs, and gets an opportunity to move, quote-unquote, up? Yes, it's difficult on college coaches. And yes, I find it to be sometimes hard to wrap my head around. But when players are given an opportunity and shine, just like us, and if we're going to call this professional sports, you do something great professionally, another opportunity might arise. And that's what you're seeing with some of these guys. And it just struck me because we can talk about this in like an abstract way where you're just talking big picture and like what is possible and in hypotheticals. But to hear it straight out of A.J. Haulcy's mouth on AFR, straight out of Bernard Gooden's mouth on AFR, like, this is my experience. This is what I hoped and dreamed for. It didn't happen immediately, so I went to work, lifted weights, practiced, performed, and all of a sudden got put in a position where now this is what I can do. And I can go to other guys who have done this, not even at LSU, like Dalton Knecht at Tennessee, who comes from out in the Midwest, small school U, nobody's ever heard of him, puts his name in the transfer portal, boom, Tennessee, SEC Player of the Year, first-round pick, Lakers. That's a broken system? I don't know that I would call it a broken system. I would call it a situation where guys are doing awesome things. Now, I was up front talking about the Nico Iamaleava stuff with the transfer portal, and, like, I don't know if that's the design of it, like, to just go strong-arm a booster base and a bunch more money when it doesn't appear that that's coming from anywhere. I didn't love that. And I don't feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here. I just feel like there can be tweaks made to the system. I feel like we're not in a perfect utopian place in collegiate athletics. But I'm not going to say that a young person who has done everything they can and is being given opportunity to compete at higher levels is just some disaster for collegiate athletics. And if you're here at LSU and you've seen what Joe Burrow and Jayden Daniels and Paul Skenes and Tommy White and Thatcher Hurd have done, and you want to immediately blow the whole thing up, like, that's a bit much for me. I know there are some out there, and I didn't say you're dead wrong. I just said it's a bit much for me. I feel like that it's a good thing for some young people to be able to chase their dreams and to perform and to be rewarded on a merit-based system for that play. And A.J. Haulcy and Bernard Gooden really crystallized that to me with what they've done over the last 5 years. So we'll see if those guys are huge pieces to LSU's defense in 2025 or not, but they certainly have an opportunity to be, and that may not have been the case 10, 15 years ago. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.